Hashem Barakate Hawa, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Nations Are All Complicit. And pretty much the title pretty much came through inspiration of a comment I was reading in the video I did last night, on, the chariots and this, this fake alien invasion that Esau's putting up. And a brother put a comment in there with a scripture in the book of Psalms, 83rd chapter. So it gave me the idea to do a lesson, based off of that. And the title that came to me was The Nations Are All Complicit. Now, when you look up that word complicit, it means, let me see. It's not coming up. The other definition is not coming up. All right, well, let's see. It says involved with others in an illegal activity or wrongdoing. And pretty much all of these nations are complicit with Esau because Esau is the head right now. And they're pushing this so-called New World Order. And the nations, the leaders of these nations are in bed with them. This is why they're drinking of the cup, of the abominations of Babylon, because they are complicit and they are part of this coming up against the Lord when he comes back, because they know he's coming back. The average peon out here don't know what's going on, but the so-called the head bankers, the top men of Esau, the top men of these other nations, they know what's going on because they have meetings. They have get-togethers where they get together and they actually hash these things out, dealing with world politics, world economy and plans of the future. They are in bed together when it comes to that. That's why when Yahushua comes back, he's coming to visit Esau, the heads of these nations, and their militaries, all right, to take them down. So I want to start off real quick in the book of Psalms, the second chapter, before we go to Psalms 83, which is the main scripture. But Psalms 21, it says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? And the heathen right now are raging. An example of this happened during the time when, the leaders of the Roman Empire came against the Lord, and Israel gave Yahushua over to the Romans to be crucified. That was fulfilled back then, but it's also being fulfilled now. I believe when you read the book of Acts, the second chapter, or Acts, the third chapter, it goes into it, where I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Apostle Peter that actually quoted this precept, but it's also being fulfilled today, because we see the nations coming together. And what is the main thing that they're coming to do? To fight against Yahushua. And you have Yahushua and the angels. That's why you have so many so-called UAP, UFO meetings and talks and, and different scenarios going on in the world concerning these things. And you have a lot of Jake that are caught up in that fray, of, oh, that's fake, or we have to be prepared to fight against that if it's actually true, and blah blah blah, stars. So it says, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed Yahushai, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us, right? Because they don't want to be under the yoke of the real New World Order that's coming, which is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Wa Yasha Allah, ruling in the kingdom of heaven. And they'll have to be subjected to the rules and regulations of, this coming, real coming New World Order, which is a world ruled in righteousness, where righteousness blooms, righteousness, springs forth, and wickedness is quenched and is brought down. So the consensus today in this society is that wickedness rules and righteousness takes a back seat. In the kingdom of heaven, righteousness is going to rule and wickedness is going to take a back seat. But when the kingdom of heaven is established, it's going to be run. You know, you have the Most High Yahweh, who set up his son Yahweh Shai to have rule over everything. You can read the scriptures on that. And then you have the cabinet of the government of Yahweh Shai underneath him, legislative body of the kingdom of heaven. So you could understand. They're going to be, should I say, executing and enforcing the laws of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Just like today you have Esau and their government and the nations and their government enforcing their rules and regulations based off of whatever they establish as governmental rules in their countries. Well, when you read the Bible from Genesis all the way to Revelation, these principles and laws, statutes, and commandments will be enforced by the 144,000 and the rest of the men of Israel who will be priests, kings and priests in the kingdom of heaven. So it goes on to say, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. Why? The Most High is going to laugh because they're trying to, do away with Yahweh Shai, the angels, the Israelites. But the Lord is going to laugh because these plans are by the Lord himself. He's the one working on their minds, and preparing them for what's coming. But they in their vain, puffed up mind think that they're going to rule, beyond what the Lord gave them. It says, the Lord Yahweh shall have them in derision. See? So the Lord is going to have them in derision. Matter of fact, the word there is not Yahweh. The word there is Lord, capital L, small O-R-D, which is Adanya or Adawanya, which means my Lord or Lord. So you have them in derision because Yahweh Shai is coming back. He said he will not meet them as a man. He's going to come traveling in the greatness of his strength. He ain't coming like a mere mortal like he did to Babylon the Great. It says, the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure, because that's what Yahweh Shai is coming to do. Now, before we read anymore, let's go to the main scripture in Psalms 83, because we see, and this is right before our eyes today, and nothing is going to deter them because the Lord gave them that goal. They are in full throttle. They're whatever speed they're going full speed. They can't go any faster than what they've been going. They're at full capacity. The engine of the New World Order is concerned. And this is why you see everything that's established and being established on the planet Earth setting up for this new system, and have to teach the nonsense that they teach because they're under the umbrella of the ones that they sold out to. But everything is moving in the direction that the Lord wants it to move. Now it says, keep not thou silence, O Most High, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. Why? Because there's this unfolding of this agenda that is going to be hazardous to us. So Asaph, King David, and others, are praying to the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to hasten the day, to cut the time short, to stand up against this devil, to do something, so that this devil won't totally devour us. He just said, if it had not been for the Lord who was on our side, then may Israel say, if it had not been for the Lord, then we would have been totally demolished, totally destroyed, And that is, like we do, is because the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has given us, a protection. And that protection begins with the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and it also begins with, the knowledge, this truth that we're teaching. This is what we're to be out here. The people, and Jake is not getting prepared. It's coming. So building off of that, and was afraid. because the beginning will be protected from the impending danger that's coming upon Babylon the Great and upon this world. It says, and was afraid, how Hashem Yahushai, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In other words, bring the prophecies to pass like you said you would. And when you bring in these prophecies to pass and bringing the end, the bitter end to the nations, it says, in the midst of the years, make known, in other words, let the prophecies manifest. In wrath, when this destruction comes, because that's what's coming, the wrath of the Lord is what's coming. In wrath, mercy upon us that have been doing your work to the best of our ability, that have been out here, on the streets, tirelessly just teaching the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Have mercy upon us. So going back to Psalms 83, make a tumult. And who are the enemies of the Lord? All nations. Now you have these individuals at the IUIC teaching that we're not supposed to hate Esau because the Most High hates Esau, but we don't hate. No, we hate Esau too. Whatever the Lord hates, we hate. King David, a mighty man, a man beloved of the Father, he said that he hates the Lord's enemies with perfect hatred. And we are to hate them all. Because when Amaziah did what he did to the Edomites, he did that out of love. When King David and Joab destroyed the Edomites, did they do that out of love? No. They did that out of hate for their enemies. So yes, we do hate them. So it says, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, because they're coming together and making a tumult, meaning they're making this noise. Come on in, my brother. Do what you gotta do. Join in. Once you get settled, you can join in. And they're coming together, and that's the elder Demashaphat is coming from a ride on his bike. And when this tumult, because the word tumult is like a tumultuous noise. When you get like armies together and they start yelling and shouting, that's a tumult. So the enemies are making a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head because of their hatred. Meaning his hatred was perfected for Esau and the nations. You guys don't know the scriptures, man. Just have to put it to you plainly. Y'all should put the Bible down, stop teaching, and then start picking up your notebooks and your pens, your pencils, and start taking notes and going back and relearning and revamping what you learned, because you've been led astray. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Because who was the people of the Lord? The Israelites, the hidden ones. Right? And they have taken crafty counsel because they're trying to cut us off, period. First, they cut us off from the name of Yahweh and Yahushai. They cut us off from our heritage in my land. They cut us off from knowing that we are the Israelites. And now that the Lord is building us back up and giving us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the truth that we are the Israelites, you have these devils still trying to push the narrative that we're not. Still trying to cast doubt out there to the rest of these Israelites out here, which is a beautiful thing, because at the end of the day, the Lord don't want them. So these devils are nothing more than a filter that to filter out these undesirables out here of Jake, like the elder Demashaphat and myself were speaking about it earlier, and even last night. That right now, dealing with vocab and them, that's a filter that the Lord is using to get rid of the undesirables, so that we, like the elder Demashaphat said, we won't have to deal with them. Then you also have Bishop Nathaniel, which Bishop Nathaniel is also set up. Bishop Nathaniel is also set up, as a stumbling block to lead astray the ones that the Lord don't want. Because right now the Lord got a lying spirit on that man. Even though he's coming back, to his senses, he's revamping certain things. He's pretty much that. I don't know if he's still teaching that there which is that's pretty much what I had meant when I said that, you know, but I didn't make it clear, so Salakia for that, you know. So when we're in Psalms 83, you know, any precepts or any points, bring it out. It's called The Nations Are All Complicit, you know, because they're all down or they're all in bed with Esau. They're all in bed with Esau, and they're all pushing for this Satan. It's a joke, you know. So when you get it, you can read something. It's loading up.
Yeah, it's going. I don't know what's up there.
All right, so don't worry about it. You know, we'll just keep going with the hidden ones. So they want Jake to be destroyed because see, Esau knows that but you're not going to take back the birth. The firstborn, the blessing and the inheritance went to Jacob. Anyways, so there's no way that you would receive the blessing anyway. And you're not going to be able to do away with it because the Lord said if the sun, the moon, and the stars stop giving their light, then will the Lord do away with the nation of Israel. He won't be able to do that because that's just how the Lord set it up. So it sucks for you, Esau. All right? So
let's cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Right, so it says they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. And they have done that. Mm-hmm. And how have they done that? They have done that by way of removing us or separating us from our nationality. And even when we woke up to our nationality, they're still trying to cast doubt, gaslight, you know, cast doubt on the points and the scriptures and the proof that have already been brought out. They're trying to cast doubt so that they can move as possible. Those are the plans of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh. Did you turn off the heat?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and that's what it is. It's nothing more than a filter. You know, so anybody that doesn't come into this because of vocab or because of anything that anybody else says, or you can't really prove that you are the Israelites and all that, good. Continue down that road because I guarantee you that the end of that road leads to nowhere good. It leads to no place where you want to be at. You see? All right, so let's go. No, it says they have said, come and let this cut off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Now, is the name of Israel still in remembrance in the world? Yes, because you still have they call it the state of Israel. You still have the word Israel. You can go to the scriptures. You can go, you know, to a different secular history. Take your jacket off. Secular history, you know, that speaks about, you know, Israel. So it's not the name itself, it's the name being applied to us. That's what's being done away with. Because most Jakes prior to the truth we didn't know that we were Israelites. This is something new that has been brought out. Why? Because it resurfaced. So the Lord caused his men to bring others back to remembrance. They stirred up the pure minds by way of remembrance to bring us back into this. This is the whole Ezekiel 37 awakening. Ezekiel chapter 37 awakening. To come back to the truth. But they have been complicit because these nations, the heads of them, they have the information. They know because they're in cahoots. You know, so they have the knowledge that we are the Israelites, but they're not telling Jake that they are Israelites, and they're not putting Jake to rest. That's what it means in the Revelation 11 chapter about putting Jake in the graves. You know, not physical graves, because Jake was, matter of fact, let's go to that, Revelation 11 and 8. You know, Jake is spiritually dead. Let's go to Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. You know, Jake is spiritually dead. They're dead from the neck up. They're walking around, you know, they can see, they can eat, they can, do whatever, but they can't see the truth. So read that.
Revelations 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Right. So when it says dead bodies, it's not talking about actually dead, because the scriptures say in Proverbs 21:16, he that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. And this is what the whole Psalm Ezekiel 37 chapter about the valley of the dry bones is all about. It's all about the reawakening of these dead bones. It's the reawakening of Jake in a dead state. Go ahead.
It says, the dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Right, so it's not really Sodom, it's not really Egypt, it's spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Why? Because Sodom was the major city of the 5 cities that were committing these horrific, abominable acts. Spiritually Sodom and Egypt, because Egypt was a place where we were in bondage for a long period of time. Among the other nations, we were in captivity, but not as long as we were in Egypt. We were in Egypt for 430 years. Among these nations, when you go back to the book of Judges, you had 20 years, 18 years, 10 years, in captivity under these nations. During the time of the Babylonians, it was little less than 70 years. You had the Greek Empire, you had the Medo-Persian Empire, so on and so forth. It's not till you get to America, which is the second, or actually the longest we've been in captivity, or the second longest so far, I had to do the number. No, actually the longest, because when you go back to 1492, that's well over 500 years, because 1992 was the 500-year celebration, whatever that's called. The memorial of when America was first conquered by Columbus. And Lord's will, today, we're gonna do an on location. When we finish here, get ready, meet up, down there to get with the brothers. Lord's will, do this on location finally, because it's been a lot of hindrances, to get it done. But Lord's will, it'll be edifying. So we're more than 500 years in captivity in America. All right. So it goes on to say that the name of Israel. Did you read that part already, Dean? That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Just read it, just in case. Oh, I'm sorry. We read in Revelation. Salaki. My bad.
It said
Sodom and Egypt,
where also our Lord was crucified.
Right, meaning where also our Lord was crossed out. So now continue reading. Now continue reading back in Revelation, verse 9.
It says, and they of the people,
which are the nations, go ahead,
and kindreds and tongues and nations,
go ahead,
shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half.
Right, so they're going to see their bodies 3 days and a half, and that was from the point when Judah, Benjamin, Levi, the southern kingdom, were brought over to the Americas to suffer that captivity that was a part of the curses. So they're going to see them for that period of time in that state. Go ahead.
It says, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
Meaning they're not going to suffer the dead bodies, or these spiritually dead bodies, to be put at rest by letting them know who they are. Because what did they do? They stripped Jake of all of that. So much so that the Lord had to bring it all back to our memory. Go ahead, Dimesh.
It says, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
Go ahead.
It says, Slack you.
That's all right.
It says, and they that dwell, and they that dwell upon earth shall rejoice over them, and shall make merry.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just gonna.
Oh yeah. I'll read it while you do that. It says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Right. That's dealing with Israel. And what were those gifts? The elder Damascus is about to show you.
That's them rejoicing over. I don't know if you can see it.
Now they can see it. And that's the book without sanctuary.
Yeah, that's a woman hanging right there, and that's all Edomites
Yep.
all across the top rejoicing over her hanging.
Yep. And then there's the part of the gifts too represent them sending slaves one to another.
Mm-hmm. And these this is on this side right here. This is a postcard.
Right.
That's a postcard.
So they don't look like, if you're sending postcards of this stuff, that doesn't seem like somebody that's repentative of what they did. That doesn't seem like somebody that's remorseful for what they did. And a lot of these pictures, you see these devils smiling, laughing, even kids, you know? So you don't think you have to pay for that? Or you are sadly mistaken, Mr. Esau. So let's go back to Psalms 83 and 5.
It says, for they have consulted together with one consent that it says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee.
Right, so go to that word confederate. They are confederate against the Lord. They are confederate against the nation of Israel. And the word for confederate, you got it, is Bara'ashath. I'm sorry, Barayath.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it mean?
It says covenant, alliance, pledge.
Right, so they're what? In agreement. Go ahead.
It says between men, treaty, alliance, league, man to man.
Right, go ahead.
It says constitution, ordinance, agreement, pledge.
Right.
Alliance.
Pledge.
Alliance of friendship.
So they're in alliance. They're in agreement. They're in a contract.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a conspiracy, a confederacy.
And whenever you go into racist neighborhoods, what flag do you see?
Yep.
The Confederate flag.
Yep. That's right. And these nations are confederate. They're complicit with this. So we can go back. And it names names, people. Back to, you can go back, to Psalms 83 and verse 6.
It says the tabernacles of Edom.
Right. So the first ones on the list is the devil himself, the Edomites. Because right now they're in charge. And these devils, these so-called scholars, they know that the Edomites are in charge. They know that they're the Edomites. The Rothschilds and them, they know that they're the Edomites. They know this. Ain't no mystery. They know this among themselves. But it's just to the world that they don't acknowledge that. That's why when you look up the word Esau, Aisha or Ashashwa, which means wasted away is he, they'll tell you that, that's the progenitor of the Arabs. But then when you go to Ishmael, it'll say, that's the progenitor of the Arab people. So which is it? Is it the Edomites or is it the Ishmaelites? No, it's the Ishmaelites that are the progenitor, or who is the progenitor of the so-called Arab people. Because when you go into the history, the Petra history, the people that were living there, the Nabateans, they conquered the Edomites and the Moabites. And they took over that region. That's what they're telling you now, that because those are Ishmaelites. That's what they're saying, that the Ishmaelites are Edomites. No, they conquered the Edomites and the Moabites out of that region. And that's why they're there to this day. Some of them. They call that Jordan now, I believe. So the Edomites, they're here. These devils are the head of that. And the head of the Edomites is Amalek, which they even name in this list here. Because that's a separate, group of demons. The Amalekites, which are them small hats. That's a separate group of demons. That is the top group of the demons of them. That is a synagogue of Satan. They are the top demons on the planet of the Edomites. Go ahead.
It says the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites.
Wait a minute. I thought the Edomites were so-called Arabs. Anyways, you got
Yeah,
it.
and the Ishmaelites, they know they're Ishmael.
Yep.
The Ishmaelites over there, the so-called Arabs over there in the land, they know they're the Ishmaelites under Abraham.
That's right.
They know that. If you ask them, if you ask them if they're the sons of Abraham, they know. They'll say yes, we're the sons of Abraham.
Yep. Ibrahim.
It says of Moab and the Hagarenes.
Right, which Moab are the so-called Chinese. The Hagarenes, sons of Hagar, those are also Ishmaelites.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
It says Gabal and Ammon.
Right, the Ammonites are the so-called Japanese. Go ahead.
It says and Amalek.
And Amalek, more Edomites. The head, that's what it says, that Amalek shall be the first of the nations. Meaning they were the first of the nations that we fought against or fought against us. And they're also the heads of this whole system that we see in place. That's why Yahweh said when he comes back, who is this that coming from Edom with dyed garments? He's coming to visit the head vampire. He ain't coming, to get the second in line or the third in line or the fifth in line. He's coming for the head. In order to be king of the mountain, you got to destroy the king of that mountain to be the king of the mountain. The king of the mountain of this world today are the Edomites. And the Lord and the Amalekites are the head of all of that.
Yeah, and they're quick to tell you the Jewish people rule the world. They're quick to tell you that too.
Oh yeah.
I just saw a woman. It was a woman.
Bring it out.
On TikTok. The guy was like, who suffered the most atrocities? The Jews. Who suffered? Who's the most important people in the guy? The Jews. He's asking all these questions, and like the Jews, and really, she's right, because they don't go by the title of the Jews. They call themselves Jewish. I call them the you-wish Jewish. Because Ish means like. So at the end of the day, if you're like a Jew, you're not a Jew. So it says Gabal, Ammon, Amalek. It says the Philistines with Tyre. We know. Yeah, we know. We know who the Philistines are. Those were former back in the day. And still are to they were shown they were formidable to Esau, and they made that movie Black Hawk Down. yeah, chased them up out of there.
Con.
It says
with the inhabitants of Tyre, those are Canaanites.
Canaanites.
The people that are in the land of Tyre inside down today are Ishmaelites, but the original inhabitants of those lands were Canaanites. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It says Assur also is joined with them.
Right, so Ashur is the Assyrians. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It says they have hope in the children of Lot, Selah.
Right, the children of Lot are Ammon and Moab.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in bed together. When you go to the United Nations, that's what all nations coming together. This is what this is talking about. Mm-hmm. And these are like the top demons of all of the nations. But what is the Lord going to do? What did who's is this King David or I'm sorry, Asaph? This is Asaph. So read on.
It says,
verse 9.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
Right, and the Midianites were destroyed by Israel. Why? Because they made Jake go off in worshiping Baal Peor. When they were having those ritualistic sex orgies to the god Baal Peor. This is where you get the whores. No, there should be no whore of the daughter of Zion and no sodomite of the sons of Israel. And to this day, these other Israelite groups break that down wrong. They're trying to say that's talking about moles among Jake men and whores among the Israelite women. That's not what that's talking about. You could apply it to that, but it's not really what that's talking about. If you take the time to go to the word there is Quadashah or Quadash, which means temple prostitute. That's what it means. You know, and this is why the Midianites were slain, and Balaam also was killed in this war because of the wickedness that they were doing. And that's why Phinehas took that javelin and ran it through the back of that Jake and through the stomach of that woman, because he was having sex with that woman. But it wasn't because he was having sex with a woman of another nation, which these other groups will tell you. The reason why that happened was because he was having sex in the name of their God. That's why, because the Most High was ready to smoke Israel. And that act that Phinehas did appeased the wrath of the Lord. Go ahead.
It says, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kisa.
Right, Sisera was he was the captain of the guard of Jabin, you know, and he got slain by who? By a woman. I believe her name was I think it was the wife of Jael. I don't think her name was Jael. You know, so do unto them as unto that, because what is Asaph, you know, saying here? Thwart their plans, destroy their plans. Matter of fact, let's go to Job. Let's go to Job chapter 5 and verse 12. You know, so pretty much what the Lord is saying, what Asaph was asking the Lord was to thwart their plans. You know, to thwart their plans, and that's exactly what we see happening. Verse 12. That's all right, take your time.
Job chapter 5 and verse 12. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise.
Right, so the Lord disappoints their devices. Because the devices are what? The New World Order. The establishment of the New World Order. Setting everything in place. All of the stepping stones that are leading people down that path. Because what they did is they have a maze, and they have walls around the maze, and they're leading the people in that direction. You know, because eventually, once this new system is fully set in place, you have to comply if you want to live. But if you comply, that means taking the MOTV, which is the micro C hip, and that is straight up death by way of the nuclear missiles in the lake of fire here in America. Go ahead, the Damashipat. The Lord is thwarting that. Go ahead.
It says he taketh
so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. You read that already. So that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Now their enterprise is what? The New World Order. Now in the back of the dollar bill, it says Annuit Coeptes, Novus Ordo Seclorum. Annuit Coeptes means our enterprise has been crowned with success. It's an announcement to the world that back in May 1st, 1776, under the Bavarian faction of the Illuminati, they established the plans to bring forth a new world order. And that was what the enterprise is all about. So their enterprise was crowned by success when they created that faction of the Illuminati, which means the enlightened ones. Now we're at the point the enterprise is coming to fruition, so to speak. It's speaking now. It's in place. You know, this is why Maya Ansobar said, give me control of the nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. Because if you control the nation's money, you control who brings out the laws. Hence, you control everything. Money talks, bullshit walks. Money answereth all things. Money is a defense. You know? So now we see in this whole plan or enterprise unfolding before the world's eyes. But this is also the plans of the Most High. Go ahead.
It says he taketh away the wise in their own craftiness.
Right, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, meaning place they're drunk off of their own wine, so to speak. Go ahead.
It says, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong.
Right, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. So these are the counsels that they have. When they get together in the United Nations, when they get together in Sonoma County, you have the top leaders of the world that come to these different functions. The G20 summit, the WEF, and different other Bilderberg, meetings, and all these different. These are all councils to hash out the final steps, or final stages for the New World Order. which the New World Order is predicated upon a one world government, world system, one world religion, one world currency. And that currency is going to be set up in the form of the microchip. Okay? Go ahead. Verse 14.
It says, wait, can I finish this?
Yeah,
It says, in the counsel of the froward is carried headlong.
Right, their counsel is carried headlong because the Lord is not going to allow it to go forth. It says when they are about to eat, the Lord shall cast the fury of his wrath upon them. Go ahead.
It says they meet with darkness in the daytime.
Right, they meet with darkness in the daytime. What does that mean? That means that they're doing it clandestinely, but there's no secret that shall not be hid. Nothing that will not come out to the light. Go ahead.
And that's why in all those buildings where they have those secret meetings, there's no windows, there's no way to look in to those buildings because they try to hide their works, you know, because they know that their deeds are evil. It says, and grope in the noonday and
because they're pushing this thing forward as if they're gonna really get it off the ground. But they don't understand that once they get it off the ground, that's when the Lord's going to cast the fury of his wrath upon them and smash them. That's pretty much it right there, other than my part. Do you have anything else? You want to make any points? Bring out any precepts, scriptures? You have anything that you want to add to the lesson? No. Okay, because I know you got to get ready. We're about to hit the road. All right, so with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters are edified. And to the next time I say, Shalom.
Shalom.